Well, greetings everyone, and welcome once again to another Wednesday night right here with the guys here on the Sports Crib. Oh man, we got some things to talk about this evening, some new hires and fires, and oh man, all kinds of news here on the Sports Crib. I see Don and Dave are here, so let's get this show on the road. Dave, how are you doing this evening?
Doing okay. I think I'm about dug out. I was actually able to drive my car out and around. So
Yeah, I was just talking to my buddy in Pittsburgh, 14 inches, uh, and then after they had the snow, of course it rained. So
nice, nice.
this,
Yeah,
this,
we only had 8 inches, but we got sleet on top of it, so it was like really
yeah,
hard packed.
yeah. So, Don, how are you doing this evening? I hope you're staying warm.
Yeah, we had a little cold spell today. It warmed up a little bit. I think the high was 62, so that's high for us in this kind of weather. But we were down to the Sunday morning we had 27 degrees, and it got to about I think 32 or 33. But we had ice, but had a snow day at school, even though we had no snow. But I'll take it.
I think 27 was our high.
Oh my goodness, it's warmer than that now.
And
Uh,
by the way, since y'all are my two Spurs Steelers buddies, I got the shirt.
Oh, there. Okay, I can see it. Yeah. How do
wow.
you like it?
There you go.
Nice,
I
nice.
like thing, and I appreciate it. It's a dry fit, which is my favorite material. So appreciate the thoughts, Dave.
Nice. Well,
Now,
you earned it.
well, who's ahead for the Super Bowl hat there, Dave? Since we're not going to have any predictions this week.
Well, it's not Bill or Don because they played hooky during the conference champion or the division round,
Oh.
so they're kind of out of it. James, you got 10 points. With Anthony has 10, but Reggie and I are tied with 14 points. It's
Ooh,
between Reggie and me.
Oh, okay. And Reggie won the fantasy football shirt from the Sports Crib. I can see him with the hat and uh, the shirt.
I
But
think he's been sandbagging. You know, he kept on saying, "Oh, I can't do this," and
yeah,
I think he
yeah,
was sandbagging.
yeah. uh, well, Dave, do you have a Sue's Corner today?
I do. All right. So, Sue's Corner. With the Olympics just around the corner, there will be many quirky and interesting stories that will come to light. Here's just a couple of pre-Olympic happenings this week. The U.S. men's four-man bobsled team was in a World Cup match for a warm-up to the Olympics, and the unthinkable happened. The driver made it into the sled, but the number 2 person stumbled as he was getting in and subsequently knocked the third and fourth teammates out on the ice and left the driver, Chris Horn, alone in a sled going 85 to 90 miles per hour with no brake man, so no brakes. He somehow managed to keep the sled on the track and then wriggled back into the brakeman position while hurtling down the slope to pull on the brake handles. No one was injured, but that could have been catastrophic. If you get a chance to watch the video with the very astounded foreign announcers, you don't even have to understand the language to hear the panic in everyone's voice. Hopefully, they will get it together for the Olympics. In another bizarre story, the Norwegians, who everyone thinks are the paragon of virtue and perfect living, got caught cheating in ski jumping. Ski jumping is a game of aerodynamics, and there are strict rules about the ski suits they can wear. Apparently, the Norwegians were making alterations to the suits after the suit inspection, but before the jump. And that could add meters to their jumps. We're talking about adding centimeters to the crotch area of the suits, and that alone provides the extra oomph to go further. This has plunged the ski jumping royalty, the Norwegians, into their own version of Deflategate. The difference being the Norwegians were caught on tape by a disgruntled employee, and the Patriots simply destroyed evidence. Sorry, not sorry, Belichick. More Olympic stories to follow in the weeks ahead. So that's Sue's Corner.
You know, it's funny you mentioned about the alterations. I saw a little blurb on that where they were trying to. I'm going to try to clean this up because my wife's in here. They tried to like shave the bulge off where their pecker would be. I thought that was. It's like is it going to add that many meters to your jump? Just like getting that little bulge off your weenie? I don't know.
Well, according to what Sue's saying, could add meters to the jump. You know, because it's all aerodynamic. So if you get like a little, there you go.
Don't take Viagra before you jump, I guess.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, got to be a little short staff there, huh?
Do you remember the pole vaulter that his knee got in a way and it hit
hit the pole.
That was, I think it's from France. He's obsessed. You know what? I would be bragging about that. Yeah. My tool caused me to lose because it was too big. Anyway, we're getting way beyond after dark. Way beyond.
Oh my goodness. So I guess the starting topic here would be Bill Belichick denied first ballot Hall of Fame. Now, I don't know, a lot of people weren't a fan of Bill when he was coaching. And, some might say, hey, it's just Bill Belichick. But when you look at all of his accomplishments, maybe it was, because of the little young thing he has on his arm now, maybe it was just, what's your thoughts on this, Don?
I think there's it's a combination of probably some envy, jealousy, Deflategate, some of it's political because if Belichick is great of a coach he is, he's kind of a hard person to read. I've heard that he's really a nice guy, and I've also heard he's an asshole. So some of those personal animosities get in the way. So I don't think it's just one thing. I think it's a combination of things, and maybe some of the voters said, well, he's going to get in. Someone will vote him in, but I don't want to vote him in. Someone else will do. Well, you get enough people thinking that way, you don't get in, right? You just delay the vote. But he waited 50 years for his girlfriend to be born, so he can wait one more year to get into the Hall of Fame, I guess.
Dave?
Well, I would start out because a lot of people were saying, well, look at his record. How can he not be a first ballot Hall of Famer? Dion, all these people. Well, should a 6-time All-Pro and 9-time Pro Bowler be in the Hall of Fame?
Hey.
You would think that's a slam dunk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's Jim Dryer's. That's Trim Dryer. What he accumulated was 6 first team All Pros, 9-time Pro Bowlers, and he won't get in. And the reason, very tragic circumstances, it was a murder suicide. He killed his wife and killed himself.
Yeah.
And so had nothing to do with football. Now there's some talk about maybe they tried to revisit bringing him in because now people are a lot more aware about CTE, and they suspect maybe he had that. But getting back to Belichick, um, the fact of the matter is he was a cheat. He was caught cheating, and not only, and it wasn't like, oh well, we got caught filming one game. They had entire libraries, and when the NFL investigated this back in 2007, um, they rushed the investigation, sanctioned him, fined him all millions of dollars, took some draft picks away, and then closed the case, destroyed the evidence. Why? Because there was allegations that this had been going on for years, and there was unverified reports that dozens of games were affected from 2000 to 2007, to the point that former Senator Arlen Specter threatened a congressional probe. And they were going to go after the NFL's antitrust exemption and really look into what was going on with the NFL because of the investigation of the Belichick cheating. So he narrowly, with his acts, he nearly really caused the NFL huge problems. And so I don't understand all the outrage and indignation of all these people. He's only being denied. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it'll be an asterisk, but I think what that asterisk does is maybe it's a deterrent from anybody else that's going to try to cheat to that level that he did. Because, I mean, it really, and people forget because, 18 years ago, we have short-term memories.
Well, Dave, do you think he should be the Pete Rose of National Football League?
That's not my call. It's a vote.
No,
I mean,
going.
I mean, if I were voting, are you saying if I were voting?
Yes.
I would vote him in. Now, I have no problem with him having to wait a year. Now, would I make him like a Pete Rose where he's banned for life? No. I wouldn't do that. But this whole thing, and it's like, well, they've somehow made this new example, and they're churning this first ballot Hall of Famer. So what if it's the second year? The point is getting into the Hall of Fame, and he will be in the Hall of Fame. I don't think it's not a Pete Rose situation. I think he was overzealous, and he got caught. And the problem is, then he cheated again and got caught again. And then Sue kind of referenced destroying the evidence. That's when they were destroying the cell phones and doing all this kind of nonsense over that was the Deflategate one. The first one was the video library that they had accumulated on everybody's signals. So, yeah, I mean, I just, and I don't understand it kind of perplexes me is the lack of any rectitude of people to say, hey, this guy cheated to the extent that it was costing the credibility of the league, where Congress was going to step in. That's a pretty big black mark.
Yeah. I mean, but like I said, we've probably seen some worst examples, but
I don't know of any.
I just
the only example I know of is a scheme back in the 50s where some players were being paid by gamblers to throw games.
Yeah.
And one of them was a former Steeler. He wasn't on the Steelers at the time, but he was a former Steeler. And that was like that was why the NFL was always so big in keeping away from, the gambling industry. But I mean, do I think that Belichick is otherwise undeserving of being in a Hall? No, he's probably the greatest coach. The GOAT. I'm willing to call him the GOAT. He has the record to for that. But I also don't mind that. Hey, wait a year, cool your heels. Now, I did read somebody sent me an interesting article where one of the voters actually went through his reasoning and said he did not vote for Bill Belichick, but he said he wasn't voting against Bill Belichick. His reasoning was, apparently they're limited on the number of votes that they can give the electors. And he said, well, I voted for Ken Anderson, somebody else, and L.C. Greenwood. And his reasoning was, hey, Belichick's going to be in, but these guys are very, very deserving. They should be in the Hall of Fame, but they're not going to get in because there's such a huge backlog of contributors and these people in the Veterans Committee. And what the Hall of Fame has done is they've really cranked down on the number of people that they allow in.
Yeah.
And so he said, well, hey, I'm voting for these guys because these three players are all Roger Craig was one, Kenny Anderson was the other, and L.C. Greenwood was the third. And he says, I wasn't voting against Belichick. I was voting for these guys.
Yeah.
And because I guess in the Veterans Committee, they apparently they combine the contributors with the people that are in the are no longer eligible for the getting in the regular way.
Don, what did you think about Eli not making it for the second time?
Well, you know me, I'm a fan of the Manning family and always will be.
That's why I asked you first.
But he has the Super Bowl wins, but if you look at his overall record, isn't he just like barely over 500?
I think so.
I know he had some rough seasons, so I think he'll eventually get in. But because Super Bowl doesn't guarantee you're in, but 2 is kind of you win 2 or 3, you're probably going to eventually make it. So and it doesn't hurt to be the brother of Peyton and the grandson of or the son of Arch. So Archie. So I think eventually he'll get in eventually.
Yeah, his regular season record is 236 and 234.
Yeah, he just barely. I mean, yeah. So,
but he is a 2-time. Isn't he a 2-time Super Bowl MVP?
Yeah,
or 1 time.
Yeah,
I think 2-time.
2-time.
Yeah, he's won it twice, but I think he's actually the MVP both games.
Yes, he was.
And I don't know how many Pro Bowls or first team All Pro he went to, so I don't have the stats in front of me, but
I'm looking at him here. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, and he was never first team All Pro. But I think he might have been. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not bad, but
I think the Manning name will get him in eventually. But like you said, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, of course, that helps. I still think what was the kid that caught the ball in his helmet?
Tyree, was that Tyree?
Yeah, I still think he deserved the MVP of that one, but
Well, I mean, here's the way I look at it. My reasoning, like if I were voting, the entire regular season, it's all about getting to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. It's and so then if two times, and including the undefeated up until that last game, undefeated New York Patriots or New England Patriots
Man,
team,
yeah.
if you're the MVP of the most important game of the season, well, to me, that's the equivalent of a player of the year. I mean, to my mind. And
Yeah, but
and and so
there's
that
one,
would be my argument for voting him in. Now, his
there's
other
one
record
player of the
is
year get you in.
mediocre. Huh?
Does one player of the year get you in?
No, not. I mean, it hasn't. But you know, like James Harrison was the defensive player of the year. He's not in.
Yeah, yeah.
And they changed the rules because of James Harrison. They didn't change the rules because of Eli Manning.
I just thought this was a very interesting year, especially, you know, I don't think you get, it's not like you get an extra ring or, you know, a different colored jacket or something if you're a first ballot. I don't think, I don't know if are there any perks for being a first ballot?
It's ego.
Oh, I mean, other than that, yeah, but I mean, you know,
Maybe they put gold thread into into their suit. I mean, I don't, you know, I
gold
just think
buttons or something.
they,
I don't.
they've made it into a thing. It's almost like, remember Antonio Brown and the 5 receptions for 50 yards, and he did it for so many games. It was
Yeah,
an invented thing. And so to me, that this, you know, whether it's if you get in your first year of eligibility, or if you get in like uh, in your 10th year, or you know, if they ever vote Hines Ward in, well, then he's a Hall of Famer that's it for
yeah,
history then.
yeah, yeah. But hey, like you said, I think it's an ego thing. Let's talk about some coaching changes here. We all talked about McDaniels when he was the coach at other fans. You know, I think we were even thinking that you know, he might stay there for a minute or two and until this actually happened. But Dave, what do you think about him going from a head coach to the offensive coordinator of the Chargers? Uh, um, did he have enough? Did he show you enough success as a Dolphin head coach to, you know, be able to take over? I mean, he has a pretty high powered offense there with the Chargers.
Well, it's going to be interesting. What I find interesting is that he removed himself from consideration for the Browns' head coaching job. That
Uh,
that tells you something about Cleveland. But with McDaniels, I mean, you know, he had, you know, one of the difficulties is with the injuries. Um, you know, you always have something going on, and I don't know. The players seem to be behind him, and but I think that the ownership in Miami, I just didn't understand firing the GM in the middle of the season, and then kind of saying, well, hey, we're behind McDaniel, and then firing McDaniel at the end of the season. It doesn't make sense to me what they were doing. So I think, you know, maybe he'll get another shot at being a head coach. You know, if he can get if the Chargers offense continues to perform, then you know, he may get another shot, because I think typically every year you're going to have 4 to 6 teams looking for a head coach. This year it was 10.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be every year, but he's young enough where he should be able to get another head coaching job. But to me, it just says a lot that he removed himself from consideration with the Browns.
I, I don't know that maybe that was foresight. Don, what's your thoughts on that? McDaniel's going to the Chargers as the new OC.
I think it's a good move. I think the best move he made was not going to Cleveland. I mean, you know,
I have to agree with you. I mean, you're not going to get an argument here, but I mean,
yeah. I mean, the Chargers, you get to go to California and enjoy the sun. You don't have to worry about it's very similar to being in Miami. You got sunshine. You might have an earthquake or two, or a canyon fire, but you don't have to live in Cleveland. I mean, that's a big jump. Not having to live in Cleveland. That's a big incentive. So I think he is a good offensive mind. Sometimes the chemistry's not right. I'm not saying he was a failure in Miami, but he didn't do quite as well as he had hoped. But sometimes a change of scenery is good. You get reinvigorated, and I think he'll do good in Los Angeles.
Okay. Don, here's another dilemma for you. Brian Daboll, Titans OC or Raiders head coach?
You know what? I think he would be a decent fit with the Raiders. He'll have Fernando Mendoza to work with, and whenever you bring a new quarterback, your front office seems to be a little bit more forgiving. So he might have one or two rough years before things start kicking off. But I think he would be a decent fit. I don't know a whole lot about the guy, but everything from I've read, I mean, it would be. I think he'd be a good fit more, with the Raiders.
What do you think, Dave?
Well, I'm just wondering. You got Shula, Chris Shula, from the Rams. You got the Kubiaks. There's a lot of guys that they were saying were head coach material. So I'm curious as to what Tom Brady decides to do over there in Las Vegas. And I mean, Dable, he got fired from New York, but I mean, there's not many bigger venues than working in New York City in terms of handling the media and all that kind of stuff. So I think he could do it. It sounded like at one point that he might be going back, into the college ranks, but we'll see. I think what they need to do, and I think some of these guys is, maybe take a year off and then kind of evaluate, okay, what is it, what's the next move I want to make? That's something that Mike McCarthy, we'll talk about him in a second, but that's something that he did in between his stints in Green Bay and Dallas. And that has paid dividends for him.
I'm glad you mentioned the college ranks there, Dave, because I did kind of forget when I was going over that. We have Mr. Smith in a move that I'm shaking my head about, really puzzled. But anyway, he's going to be the OC for Ohio State. To me, considering what Ohio State has been through the last couple of years or so, this might be a step backwards. But And I'm sure Reggie is totally upset, but we'll see. What did you think about that move, Arthur Smith going back to the college ranks, Dave?
Well, from head coach to NFL offensive coordinator now to college offensive coordinator, but at a big program. It's not like it's the NAIA or anything like that. But um, I'm just wondering how his offensive scheme will fit in there with Ohio State. Ohio State's produced a few good wide receivers in its time, and he's more of a tight end guy. Running game, running the offense. So for me, what's going to be interesting to watch is, does Arthur Smith's scheme change in college, or does he get Ohio State to try to adopt his scheme, which is tight end heavy on the running game, and not so much on spread offenses. So I think that's going to be interesting to me. And for whatever Ohio State was looking for, apparently, he was the guy. So that's going to be interesting. And for me, I liked Arthur Smith. I was hoping that he would have a third year, assuming that if Tomlin had stayed, because I think one thing is, you have to give, if you're putting in a new offensive scheme, you have to give it a little bit of time to get institutionalized into that team, because they're so complicated with all the vernacular that they use, all the words that they use. It's like learning another language. And so you got to get the team on board with that. You got to get the other coaches on board with that. And I think it takes more than 1 year or 2 years in order to do that. I think you need at least 3 years in order to accomplish
that. What's your thoughts here, Don?
Well, whenever you're making that jump, between pros and college, or college and pros, back and forth, it's always kind of the head scratcher sometimes. I remember Nick Saban, he had his little experiment in Miami and didn't go quite as well he wanted to. He came back to college and did well. I think you mentioned Ohio State and their wide receivers. Well, Ohio State has a lot of running backs in the NFL as well. I mean, so they've always been a well balanced team. So I think he'll continue that. But it's just a matter of getting the guys in to learn your system. But they had that anyway because the transfer portal. I mean, you got guys who are at 2 or 3 schools before they settled their another school their senior year. They're having to learn all kinds of systems. So as we're noticing, the college game is becoming more and more like the pro game. So I don't think it'll be that big of a deal him making the switch. I think Ohio State is still going to get in the playoffs. They're still going to be tough. So I don't see any negatives in that move at all right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I mention Penn State, James?
Yeah, go ahead.
We're trying to see. I just wanted to say that their schedule came out for 2026, and it looks like a pretty favorable schedule for them. I think that they could go 9-3 or 10-2 with the schedule that they have. The biggest problem they have are back-to-back games against USC and Michigan, and those are 2 games I would pick for them to lose. The game that I would circle early in the season is 26 September against Wisconsin. Not that Wisconsin is a powerhouse, but they're a good, solid team. And if Penn State can beat them convincingly, well, then they might be on their way to a 9-3 or 10-2 season. If they can't get past Wisconsin, it's going to be a long year because they lost their 2026 recruiting class. But what's happened is that since Campbell has gotten there, they've had good retention among the players, and they've had a positive result on the transfer portal. They've gotten, I think, over 30 players, and they've gotten more talent in than talent lost. And so I think I don't know that they're going to qualify for the college football championship, but I could see them being 9-3, 10-2 this year, which would be wow. But a lot of it is because they have a very favorite. There's no Oregon on their schedule, no Ohio State. It's kind of a favorable schedule.
Yeah, I think Indiana schedule this year includes Ohio State and Michigan, so they might have a little harder way into the playoffs.
And
Dave,
no Mendoza.
and yeah, and his brother's going leaving too, I think.
Georgia Tech.
Yeah. So Dave, go ahead, Don.
I would say Indiana has a young man named Josh Hoover who's coming in as quarterback, and he did a great job at TCU. And so don't rule out Indiana just yet. Just say lost Mendoza. They're not going to be as good, but they'll still win their share game just because of coaching anyway.
Yeah, it does seem like it might be a little more parity this year. We'll see how at 10-2, Penn State might definitely qualify for college a playoff game. Dave, not a lot of two lost teams. Well, I guess this year might have been the apex of that. But Dave, what did you think about Cleveland hiring the ex-Raven Todd Monken as their head coach?
Well, I talked to a buddy of mine that's lives in Cleveland's been a Cleveland fan since like the 60s, and Roger, and he was pretty excited. It sounds great. And, we were talking about Jim Schwartz, and he had thought that Jim Schwartz was going to be named the head coach. And apparently what's happened is Schwartz did not react very well to
No, he did not.
Monken being brought in. Now he's under contract. So he just can't do whatever he wants, but it sounded like he was giving people goodbyes today. So it's going to be interesting to see, okay, well, are they going to be able to hold on to Jim Schwartz? The other thing is the Steelers are already interviewing their special teams coordinator, Ventrone, whose brother played for the Steelers back in the day, and the family's from Pittsburgh. So they could be losing some coaches. I don't know how Myles Garrett is going to react. It's interesting, but Todd Monken, he's a good coach. I don't think it's anything against him, but I think the thought is that Schwartz was deserving. That they have a really, really good defense. Now, what one person told me, what my buddy told me, is that really he thinks that they should have kept Stefanski for one more year, and then give him and the I think they was it the GM that they let go? There's somebody else that they let go, and to give them one more year before making the transition. But it sounds like the process has really gone badly. And, they were requiring all these personality tests. You take essays, they have these questionnaires because they're a, quote, data-driven organization. And so you had more than McDaniel. There were several candidates that withdrew from consideration, not just McDaniel. There's a couple others. So I think Chris Shula was it Chris Shula? I forget who the others were, but it just shows that they're a little bit dysfunctional. To me,
a little bit dysfunctional.
I'm trying to be nice, but we'll see what Monken does. If he turns that franchise around, they've been drafting really, really high, They should have all the talent in the world. The way the NFL is designed, they should be vying for championships at this point.
Well, we've been. Was the
with their
last?
with their Pro Bowl quarterback. They have a starting Pro Bowl quarterback.
Yeah, seven touchdowns and 10 interceptions, right? Okay.
So
Go ahead, Don.
So I just thought about Todd Monken. Todd Monken was the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma State that offered my nephew the scholarship. So he recruited Austin to go play Oklahoma State. I believe he recruited Mason Rudolph. So he's been around, and I might become a Cleveland Browns fan, believe it or not, just because he's there. Well, I'm not gonna go that far, but I will want them to win some games because Todd Monken, he's been a guest at my brother's house. I mean, just nice guy. So he's very intense. He's very intense. Let me tell you that. But he's another guy who's made that trip back and forth between college and pros. I mean, I believe he spent some time as the head coach at Southern Miss, maybe one of the schools. Anyway, but. Yeah, he's been around. He brings a lot of experience. He's seen it all. So we'll see how he does in Cleveland.
I see Mr. Scott is here, but he's not here. So we'll let him poke his head in here. Let's see. Oh, Don, the Bills, they replaced their head coach with their offensive coordinator, Joe Brady. I know, we were all surprised by the firing of McDermott, but what do you think about the hire?
Well, I don't know a whole lot about him. I know that his offense sputtered when they didn't need a sputter. I don't know if that was the scheme or if that was just Josh Allen having brain farts. We'll find out. But in a way, I think it's a good move because you're not changing a whole lot.
Number rules basketball.
So I think that the other guy kind of opened his mouth when he shouldn't have, even though he might have been speaking truth. Sometimes you got to bite your tongue. But I think overall it'll be a good move just because you're not bringing in a lot of new concepts, I guess. So I think Buffalo will still be competitive, but they'll choke in the playoffs. So it is what it is.
Mr. Scott, you going to join us? We only got a couple more questions left here for you. What did you think about Bill Belichick not making first ballot Hall of Fame there?
Well, when you cheat.
Were you listening to Dave?
You asked me a question, so can I answer my question? Can I answer your question, please, sir? When you cheat and you throw your Hall of Fame quarterback under the bus and talk about he was fooling around with the footballs, and Brady said, I don't know nothing about no footballs. Oh, I come and I play and they give me the ball and I don't have nothing to do with that. He gets suspended for 4 games. He has to pay a fine. Well, I'm sure Kraft paid the fine. So, yeah. So, too many nefarious things. And I think that was a righteous thing. Okay, all the Super Bowls, yeah, he should be in the Hall of Fame. But just like Jim Marshall should be in the Hall of Fame. So, I mean, hell, if he has to wait, I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. Because the things that he did were so egregious. So egregious. You do not go and film other people's practices. You can't do that. He knew that. He knows the rules. So, I mean, I'm obviously I'm not a fan of Bill Belichick. So, I mean, I'm not a fan. But you win all those Super Bowls. You win all those Super Bowls. I mean, what can you say? What can you say?
I think you and Dave may have collaborated on that. I'm not sure. What do you think, Don?
Well, you already asked me about that, but
No. I mean about his answer and Dave's answer. You think there might have been some collaboration there?
oh well, I don't know if they were listening in, but it wouldn't bother me one bit if they did. So,
Mr. Scott, what did you think about Eli Manning not making it again?
Well, that's kind of an interesting one. You know, I mean, he's had up and down years, up and down. I don't know that. You know, I have to, when I ask those kind of questions, I have to ask myself, would I vote for it? You know, if I was in that position, would I actually vote for it? And it's, boy, you know, 2 Super Bowls coming back from a Lazarus territory. Ah, he's a Manning. Ah, I might have to give him the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. Even though the man caught the ball on his top of his head and the man was falling down and the ball was so, and he never heard from that man again. Never.
David Tyree.
Never heard from him anymore. So 2 Super Bowls, yeah, I probably would have voted for it.
2 Super Bowl MVPs.
I probably would have voted for it.
Yeah. Okay.
would you vote him over Belichick?
I hate to say this, but no, I wouldn't have. I hate to say it.
You know, one thing related to that, I guess, I think it was the Pro Football Hall of Fame put out a statement that they will sanction any electors that broke their rules.
Oh, God.
There was a press release today, so I don't know if they're saying that, you know, maybe some hanky panky was going on.
Yeah, but what's the rules? What is the rules?
Yeah, they changed it. I mean,
It's not a completely transparent process.
You're right. Yeah.
Mr. Scott, what did you think about McDaniels going to the Chargers as the offensive coordinator, turning down the Browns job?
Boy, you know, the Browns have that albatross. You know, they have Mr. Massage. And so if these guys are young enough, you know, that they can kind of go and build up their resume some and keep going, yeah, I think it's because I don't know what they're going to do with Mr. Massage. I have no idea. And, you know, well, see, the great Shaduri, he made the Pro Bowl. Apparently, I heard he's whatever that's worth. I mean, I don't know. He made the touch football Pro Bowl. So is he their guy? So
7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions.
10 interceptions. Yeah, I know. So
we went from a fourth string at the beginning of the year, 4th-string quarterback, or 4th or 5th, to the Pro Bowl. So someone's been living his life right, I guess. That's what Dad would say.
Yeah, but the game is a joke. Let's face it, the game has become a joke. You know, I mean, you know, when I was a kid, used to watch those Pro Bowls, man. I'm telling you, the first ones,
Jim Brown,
Walter Payton.
Frank
I mean, they actually played football. I mean, Johnny Unitas. Oh, come on. I mean, this is a whole new day right now. So.
Conrad Dobler.
Yeah, a mean man. A very mean man.
The original kneecap biter, right?
Yeah, very, very mean man.
John Matuzak.
Oh, yeah. Another one. Raider.
Yeah.
Ted Hendricks.
Lester Hayes.
Stewart.
Yeah, you know. So, Mr. Scott, what did you think about McDermott Monken leaving the Raiders, going to the Clowns as a head coach.
Boy, fire to the frying pan. I mean, I guess head coach is one of the most coveted jobs. And so if somebody offered me, I'd take it. I mean,
The
even if it
Clowns?
was, yeah. So.
Okay. Not much job security though.
Well,
I'm just saying. You know.
They had something like 3 candidates withdraw.
yeah, yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And then why doesn't our defensive coordinator, Brian Flores, I think he is actually blackballed. I really don't think he is going to get a job. I think he gets offers because of your great Rooney Rule. You know, the great Rooney Rule. He'll get he gets interviews, but I don't think he's going to get a head coaching job as long as this lawsuit is out there. I mean,
He could
probably
let a
tell them,
nice
let's
contract
settle
in
the suit.
Minnesota, though.
He could tell them, let's settle the suit, and again, I can get a head coaching job and settle the suit. But until that happens, you know, it's very strange. I still think somebody might hire him. There still may be something. We got a ways to go before the season starts.
Well, the only team that I know that interviewed him this year was Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
did he interview with anybody else?
Well, why wouldn't Pittsburgh hire him?
Because they hired Mike McCarthy.
Well, we're gonna talk about
a younger guy, defensive guru, Mike McCarthy. You know, I mean,
yeah, we're going to talk about that because I had.
But of course, when you say Pittsburgh, you're happy. Whoever it is, you're going to just you're going to praise it. You're going to wave your pom poms because it's Pittsburgh. You're going to agree whatever the Rooney's say. You're right there. You kiss the ring, so I know.
No. I actually told Dave I hated this hire. I think McCarthy's too old. I think he's a patch. And I'm very afraid that we are going to turn what were winning seasons into losing seasons. He did, I mean, there's even rumors that he wants ayahuasca back. So you know how I feel about that.
That's another big thing. Yeah, I heard ayahuasca wants to come back.
Well,
I've heard. That's what I've heard.
I haven't heard that he wants to come back, but I've heard that McCarthy would like to.
I'm just relying on you Pittsburgh people to tell me. I'm relying on you Pittsburgh people. You're the ones.
Dave, we can talk about the McCarthy hire and whether or not he would like to have Aaron Rodgers back. We're also talking about the possible hire of Patrick Graham for our new DC, and I kind of thought that if we went older with the coach, that we'd hire a young DC and maybe have him move into that position. But I think McCarthy's in his 40s also, so 5 years, 52. But what do you see as the Steelers' long-term plans here?
Would they rather have Flores or would they rather have McCarthy? What if you had the choice? What would you do? What would you do, Dave? What would you do, Dave?
What would I do? Well, I was surprised that they hired McCarthy. I probably would have gone for Flores, but that's me. I'm not the Rooney. So yeah, I'll approach this because really everything that you said, James, is accurate. But I'll look at it from the cup half full as opposed to the cup half empty. So yeah, he number one, he is 62. He is older, he's the oldest coach that the Steelers have ever hired. The only other coach that came close is they hired Jock Sutherland, who was 57, and then he died of a cerebral hemorrhage 1 year, a few months after taking them to their very first playoff appearance back in 1947. Wow. But I believe what they're trying to do, I think part of there was a number of reasons that they went for him. And with the age, I think what it does is in 5 years, Art Rooney II is going to be pushing 80. And his heir apparent is Daniel Martin Rooney, who's only 34 right now. And he's in like the business development and strategic operations thing. He's on the business end he's not on the playing side of the organization. He's on the business end of the organization. So I think what this, number one is by getting somebody like McCarthy. He's an experienced guy. He's been a head coach for a long time, taken a team to the Super Bowl, beat the Steelers in the Super Bowl. And he's a hometown guy. And what this does is this gives young Rooney a chance to kind of be mentored by his dad, as well as having a veteran coach as a kind of segue. What I'm hoping to see is over the next several years, you start to see more and more of Daniel Martin Rooney, he was big in double. Now, the thing is in terms of being a patch, yeah, I would agree with that. They're not looking at him being here for 15 or 20 years like Cowher or Knoll or Tomlin. He'll be here no more than 10, maybe only as much as 5. But his job, he may have an impact that goes 15 or 20 years if he can identify and develop the next Terry Bradshaw or Ben Roethlisberger. And while he's doing it, keep the Steelers competitive and maybe get them into the playoffs for a playoff run. And so, yeah, in a sense, he is a patch, for those reasons, but that's what they're doing. And then after he served his time, well, then Art Rooney II's successor then will pick the next coach, hopefully for a long-term process. In terms of Aaron Rodgers, they just had his initial press conference with McCarthy, and he was asked about Rodgers, and he was specifically asked, would you bring him back? And he was like, of course, I would bring him back. He helped get the Steelers into the playoffs this past season. Now, that doesn't mean that Aaron Rodgers is coming back. And in a number of personnel questions, McCarthy deferred to Omar Khan. And so, number one is, does Rodgers want to come back? And number two, if he does want to come back, how much does he want? Because he was only paid like $10 or $12 million this year. Now, if he comes back and if he wants $40 or $50 million, I don't think that they're going to pay him. And so, that's a to be determined. And what McCarthy also said is that he was very excited to work with Will Howard, who was their rookie quarterback out of Ohio State that got hurt, just before the season started. And so I think, that raises the question, do they, start to try to see what they have in Will Howard, and do they draft a quarterback in 26 or 27? In terms of the and the other thing that was attractive about McCarthy is he's an offensive-minded coach, and I think that's a thing that Art Rooney saw, was that we just weren't getting it done on offense, and he wants an offense.
Yes, but you have to have a quarterback if you're going to be an offensive team. You have to have a quarterback.
Well, that's part of it. His job is to identify and to develop a franchise quarterback. He has 5 years to do it. Yeah. I agree with you, Anthony, and that's part of his portfolio. Is find this guy and develop him and get him going. So then that makes his defensive coordinator position all the more important. Patrick Graham was with the Raiders. Raiders didn't have a great defense. They had Max Crosby, but that was about it. So, we'll just have to see how he does. And I'll copy off of what Art Rooney II said. He's not so much concerned about the presentation. He's interested in results. And so what are we going to get out of Mike McCarthy over the next couple of seasons? And the fans, they're not going to accept two or three losing seasons in a row.
Nope.
Right?
All right. So, Mr. Scott, you have any questions for Dave? You find out everything you wanted there?
Well, no, I was hoping that we would have, the great Bo celebrating, waving his pom poms about Seattle and the big heist of
Well,
stealing Sam Darnold from the Vikings. But
we're going to talk about all that next week with the big Super Bowl finale.
Before the finale, what I wanted to ask you guys, though, you had two contrasting games. You had the 10-7 game in the snow, horrible conditions. And then you had the shootout, 31-27. Did you guys hate the snow? Were you wishing that they were in a dome, or did you like the idea of them playing in the elements and seeing who was going to come out of that? Or, were you more enthralled with the lack of a defense in the run and shoot game between the Rams and Seattle?
I really like, the defensive game. I remember the Ice Bowl, Kansas City. So, Dave, you would have been right at home there. So I kind of liked the weather and playing in the elements, even though I hated playing in the snow. But if you played football, it was like the postman: rain, snow, sleet, whatever. Kick the ball and let's get it on. I'm not a big fan of shootouts, but I did enjoy that game. But if I had my druthers, I'd rather watch a 10-7 game.
How about you guys, Anthony?
well, that Denver game, now Denver, okay, you got a backup guy, okay? You get a chance to kick an easy field goal and go up 10-0. And the game ends up 10-7 and you lose. And he's supposed to be a good coach. He's supposed to be a good, you have to give your quarterback that lead, a 2-score lead. I don't know why in the world. Yeah, it'd be nice to have that touchdown. But I mean, these coaching things, these decisions that they make this year, I'm telling you, I can do better than a lot of these coaches.
And that's before the weather went south when you made that decision, right?
I played high school football, and we were state champions. I was one of the captains, and I played 1 year at Mankato State, and I didn't play anymore because I wasn't going to school when I first started. My grades weren't at a C. But when I watched these coaches, and the coach we had, Coach Wiemeyer, in high school, I mean, he ran the ball down people's throats. I mean, I think we won state championship. This was the first year we won it in the state, and then we won for 4 or 5 years. I think it's still a record in Minnesota, Washburn High School, of winning, no losses all those years. But he believed in running the ball and kicking and putting people back and playing defense. I still like that game. But, a lot of people, they want to see a lot of aerial shows and, but I like real football. And the weather outside, I like the Vikings. I would never go to those games. And I actually had tickets from my uncle. I'm not going. There was so much snow piled up in those games. They would get the Rams and the Cowboys, and they were just ready to go home. You could tell they didn't even want to be here. And plus, they were done by beginning of December,
Right.
Thanksgiving, games were pretty much over. And so, no, I like the elements. I prefer that. I think that's real football.
Speaking of real football, come on here, Don. you played when put some dirt on it and let's go.
Yeah, so I enjoyed the Denver New England game. I mean the Seattle game is awesome too, but I just like I like the added drama of a blizzard. That's good, and I was point out when the weather was not so bad, you had a chance to kick field and didn't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, I said, I remember, telling my wife, I said, this will come back and bite me in the ass. It sure did.
It sure
It
did.
did. It did. But yeah, so maybe I'm overly conservative. I just like take the points when you can, you know, get points,
Especially in those big games. And he had a backup quarterback.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Right.
He didn't have his real guy out there, so give him some more points, help him out.
Yeah, and not only that, but that fourth down play was a little suspect too. With the backup in there to me, but
Yeah. And he's supposed to be a good coach now. He's supposed to be a guru. He's supposed to be a guru coach.
well, see, it's not just Detroit coaches you can talk about. See, now you can talk about him.
But Derek May made a couple big plays when it counted. He didn't light it up, but there was a couple key plays where
He did. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that he didn't play a good game, I think, but I think we're just saying, they didn't score but 10 points, so that if Denver had got to that 10 points first, maybe it might have made a difference,
Yeah.
but I can't wait for our discussion next week. Mr. Scott, I think he said that you and I are in second place, and Dave and Reggie are in first.
Yep. You Anthony, you and James have 10 points, and Reggie and I have 14.
Wow. Okay.
So, how many points did we score last week, Dave?
Last week,
I'm
it
trying to
figure. It was only 2 games, and
so it was 4. We only had 4 choices, right?
right. And so I had looks like 1, because I went into it with 13. Anthony had 2 correct.
Oh no.
And Dawn, you had 1. You took the under but you took New England in the under, and it was Denver, because it was minus 5.5.
Oh yeah.
So it should have been the winning combination was Denver in the under. I took New England in the under. Anthony, you took Denver in the under. That was your 2. So you pegged that one. Don, you took New England in the under. James, you took Denver in the under. So you got 2 on that.
Yeah, me and Mr. Scott took the same. We had the same picks.
Reggie took New England in the under. So he got 1. And then Bill had taken New England in the over. So then in the next game, it was Seattle and the Rams. It was the Rams got 2.5 points. So it ended up being Seattle in the over, the 46.5. So it was like 31-27, right?
I had the over, but the wrong winner. Me and Mr. Scott.
Yeah, so Bill he took Seattle in the under, so he got 1 point. Reggie took Seattle in the over. That gave him 2 points. That's what tied it up for him. And James, you had no, you took the Rams in the under, James, in that one. You had the Rams in the under. and Don had the Seattle in the under, so he picked up a point. Anthony had the Rams in the under, and I had the Rams in the under, so we didn't get anything on those.
All right. Well, next week is the big one, guys. We'll see if we can catch up with you and Reg. And hey, I guess wow, football season will be over. What are we going to talk about then? No more Tomlin to talk about. Wow, Mr. Scott, what are you going to do this off season?
They had the Senior Bowl, and Mike Tomlin, he was a fixture there, and he wasn't at the Senior Bowl. Or the Senior Bowl, I guess, is this weekend, but they've started their practices. And the Shrine game was just played last night. We had 3 people at the Shrine game, and then Bill is at the reason he's not on is he's down at the
he's in Mobile. He's in Alabama, I think.
Oh. Right. You know, and it's cold down there. It's cold everywhere. I talked to my buddy in Houston. He said, "Man, I'm on my way to Puerto Rico. We don't do ice very good here in Houston. You know, we don't do ice good here." And so Don, what's happening down there in San Antonio? I hear they're raising down there.
Well, so we had that little front come in, and we ended up having a snow day at school. Even though there's no snow, we had a lot of ice. But San Antonio's good for one, like, freeze your ass off a couple of days a year. And then it'll be in the 70s eventually, so we're good.
Yeah, we're 77, 79, 79, 72, 72, 78.
Okay, I didn't want to hear no bragging.
75.
That's fine. Okay, yeah, thanks a lot. I didn't want to hear all the bragging, you know.
I'm sorry, Mr. Scott. But
it was 7 degrees here this morning. It's going to be 4 tomorrow morning. It's probably colder up there where Anthony is.
But
a lot of stuff going on up here.
Yeah. Final thoughts, there, Mr. Hayes.
Sorry, chewing some ice. Final thoughts. Not related to athletics at all. No sports. As a child, my dad got me interested in coin collecting. Coins. I love coins, you know, and as I got older, I started gravitating towards like silver dollars. So I have a shitload of silver, right? Silver jumped up big time. Precious metals commodity. I mean, silver is the thing right now. It's not gold. I mean, gold's going up too, all the precious metals. My gold isn't quite as numerous as my silver, but right now I'm thinking about taking a nice 3-week vacation somewhere exotic. I mean, if the silver keeps going up. So, in fact, today I checked the market and silver's still going up. So I bought more silver. So anyway, just a little financial advice. Forget your stocks and bonds. Just do precious metals. It's going to score big. And right now the economy is doing good. So I'm a happy camper right now. That's my final thoughts. No sports.
Dave.
Yeah, so we were getting this big snowstorm in this weekend, and then but they said it wasn't going to hit until Saturday night. And Penn State was supposed to wrestle at Maryland Sunday, but they moved the match to 5 p.m. Saturday. So I got tickets, you know, because going up to Penn State, it's always sold out up there. But I was able to get tickets. I went with a buddy of mine, and we watched Penn State clobber Maryland 51-0. And it was just interesting because the Penn State and the Maryland wrestlers, when you saw them next to each other, they all muscular, you know, same size. But this Penn State team, it's something special. I mean, they just Sean Van Ness, who's number one ranked, he's wrestling a Maryland guy, and he got greedy. He was going to get a takedown, but instead of just getting the points on the takedown, kind of like with Sean Payton in Denver, he decided to try to put in a pinning combination and take him right to the back. Well, the Maryland wrestler countered it and put Van Ness on his back. And by the end of the first round, the Maryland guy was up 7-1. Well, Van Ness, then he woke up because they had wrestled the night before. They were supposed to have a day off, but they had moved the match and they had wrestled the night before. Well, he ended up winning 32-15. Just what he got a technical fall. He scored so many points over the next couple rounds, and he because he started taking what he was given. He didn't try anything fancy. He just started taking the guy down and giving him escapes. But I mean, for me, it was just so exciting to see such a talented team. And Cale Sanderson, the coach, he just sits in the corner. He never says a word. As the guys, even in these close, even when Van Ness was down 7-1, you didn't see Cale Sanderson move at all. Just at one point at the end of the round, Van Ness looked over at Cale, and Cale just kind of gave him a head nod. And he's losing 7-1, but Cale Sanderson's not yelling at him, not getting excited, just shook his head. And then Van Ness just took off, and that was a beautiful thing to watch. So I enjoy college wrestling. It's like a pure sport. Like if you're into boxing or any of the martial arts, there's a certain purity that goes about it. So that's my final thought. I just felt so lucky to catch that Penn State team, to see them live.
Mr. Scott, let's see. You can't go to Atlanta, can't go to Houston. Might want to come out here to San Diego, maybe.
Well, just two quick thoughts. When Dave was talking about wrestling, when I went to college in Mankato, they had this thing where it was a winner take all kind of a wrestling match. And so people could come in and wrestle. And the stadium was full. It was just full. It was just guys from the college. And so there was this guy that I went to school with. He was from the East Coast, and he was a big football player, just built like, oh my God. And so he got in there with this guy from Mankato, a Farmer Marley guy, big old fat guy with the big old farmer clothes on. And that farmer guy rolled him up in 2 seconds, and the fans just went completely nuts. Everything, they could not believe that this farmer guy could beat this guy like that. It was just over just like that. And so my other, final thing real quick. Was it yesterday, day before, I was going out to take my garbage out. And I have this key fob for my Cadillac. And so I had the garbage, and I threw the garbage in, and then I couldn't find my key fob. So I thought I threw it maybe in the garbage can. But I had an extra one that barely works. It kind of works. And so the next day I went out, took all the garbage out, see if I could find my key fob. Couldn't find it. And so I called the dealer, and they said, well, it's cost you about $550. We can make you another one. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. So my son called me after he got off school. He teaches. He picks his daughter up, and he said, well, your granddaughter wants to come by after school. I said, okay, well, tell Jahia she can come by. So he walks in the door, and he has my key fob. He said he found it. And I looked all over. There's snow out there. There's all kinds of stuff. I went out there 3-4 times to find this thing. And he walks in the door. Oh, Dad, I found this in in the yard. I'm like, good Lord. So yeah, that's my final. I'm very happy about that.
My final thoughts, Mr. Scott. Southwest Air, one stop, $59 each way. I'm just saying.
Really?
I'm just
Southwest.
saying.
I better start looking at that because I got some free days here. You know, I mean, Atlanta, I called my cousin down there. He said it was 20. But
Well,
they're gonna get better down there, as Don said. It's gonna get better, but it's gonna stay here. So yeah. Southwest, huh? Okay.
Southwest. All right, guys. Have a great evening, great rest of the week, and
Seattle wins the Super Bowl, makes the Vikings look like idiots. Seattle wins. You know, there's no way that they can lose this game. I mean, the defense, the way they've been playing, I mean, this is a done deal. I might even put a little bit on this. I might even put a little bit on this. Seattle, this looks like what they used to call lead pipe cinch. That's what they used to call it.
With that reject quarterback that they got.
All right, guys. Have a good one. I'll see everybody next week.
All right.
Good night, guys.